You know, it's funny, usually in a domestic defamation dispute like this, the internet has all kinds of opinions, but they've been completely silent about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It's weird. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard. She is suing him at exactly the same time. This is all incredibly crazy. And this latest suit and countersuit is already turning into a circus. Of course, for Hollywood celebrities leading public lives, it seems like there's no such thing as a truly private matter. And this has certainly been the case for Amber Heard, who has publicly accused her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, of subjecting her to years of physical and emotional abuse during their marriage. And Depp, for his part, has vehemently denied the allegations, accusing Heard of defaming him with fabricated claims while portraying Heard as the real abuser. And while Heard has primarily aired her grievances to the media, Depp has opted to take his fight to the courtroom in both the UK and the state of Virginia. Now, determining the truth of domestic violence allegations is invariably a challenging prospect. As a result, the public's response to these allegations has been incredibly polarizing, with Heard and Depp having their own supporters and detractors alike. So, Legal Eagles, let's talk about the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard saga. We'll cover the facts leading up to the decades-long dispute between the former celebrity couple, review the multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuits in the UK and the US that have been brought as a result, and talk about how Johnny Depp can sue twice for basically the same thing. Now, the former Hollywood couple's Virginia courtroom confrontation is the culmination of 10 years of love, heartbreak, and abuse allegations between the Pirates of the Caribbean actor and the Justice League actress. Here is the timeline of how this feud leapt from the tabloids to the courtroom. Now, in 2012, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard began dating following Depp's split from his longtime partner, French model, actress, singer Vanessa Paradis. Depp and Paradis dated for 14 years and they shared 2 children together. In February of 2015, Depp and Heard officially tied the knot, but as quickly as the pair fell in love, things fell apart just as swiftly. On May 21st, 2016, the LAPD responded to a Saturday night call in which Heard alleged domestic abuse. Law enforcement officials at the time stated they found, quote, no evidence of any crime, and Heard did not file any charges. On May 23rd, 2016, Heard officially filed for divorce from Depp, citing irreconcilable differences. 4 days later, Heard appeared in a Los Angeles court with a bruised cheek to request a temporary restraining order against Depp. In a sworn declaration, Heard alleged that her then husband, 23 years her senior, had, quote, violently attacked her and thrown a cell phone at her face with extreme force. Photographs submitted to the court show Heard with a large bruise on her face, along with broken bottles, picture frames, and shattered glass on the floor. Heard alleges that, quote, during the entirety of our relationship, Johnny has been verbally and physically abusive, end quote. Heard further claimed that she, quote, endured excessive emotional, verbal, and physical abuse, which has included angry, hostile, humiliating, and threatening assaults to me whenever I questioned his authority or disagreed with him. Now, in her filings, Heard recounted an alleged April 21st assault wherein Depp allegedly came home drunk as Heard's birthday party was ending, threw a champagne bottle at a wall, grabbed her hair, violently shoved her to the floor, and Heard also alluded to, quote, one severe incident in December 2015 when I truly feared for my life. People magazine would later publish a photo purportedly from this incident. In opposition to these motions, Depp's lawyers claimed the allegations were false and accused Heard of, quote, attempting to secure a premature financial resolution by alleging abuse. On May 27th of that year, the judge granted Heard's temporary restraining order, ordering Depp to stay at least 100 yards away and avoid all contact until a June 17th follow-up hearing that would decide whether the order should be made permanent. But hours before the scheduled hearing, Heard and Depp released a joint statement announcing that they had resolved their dispute. Quote, our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. There was never any intent of physical or emotional harm. Now, in August of 2016, Depp and Heard reached a divorce settlement, with Heard allegedly pledging to donate $7 million to the American Civil Liberties Union and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. In August of 2021, a New York judge partially granted Depp's motion to force the ACLU to produce documents to show if she did in fact donate the $7 million, a fact that remains contested by Depp. And after the divorce was finalized in January of 2017, Depp's attorney Laura Wasser released the following statement, quote, "We're pleased to put this unpleasant chapter in Mr. Depp and his family's lives behind them. Having his request for entry of the dissolution of judgment granted today made it a particularly lucky Friday the 13th. Now, while Depp's attorneys declared their client's intention to put this chapter behind him, the British tabloids would not extend Mr. Depp such a courtesy. Which takes us to how the UK lawsuit got filed. Now, following the divorce, both Heard and Depp continued to pursue their respective acting careers. Heard reprised her role as Mara from Aquaman for Joss Whedon's Justice League in 2017, while Depp returned as Captain Jack Sparrow for the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean installment. But as Depp was preparing to reprise his role as the eponymous villain in J.K. Rowling's Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, The Sun, a British tabloid, fired a shot across the pond by rehashing Heard's abuse allegations. On April 27, 2018, the Sun executive editor Dan Wootton published an article entitled "Gone Potty, How Can J.K. Rowling Be Genuinely Happy Casting Wife-Beater Johnny Depp in the New Fantastic Beast Film?" Writing that, quote, "Overwhelming evidence was filed to show Johnny Depp engaged in domestic violence against his wife Amber Heard." Wooten accused the Harry Potter author of, quote, "providing Depp total rehabilitation in the eyes of the movie industry by allowing Depp to star in the Fantastic Beasts sequel." Now, Depp's response to the article was swift. On June 1st, 2018, Depp sued the parent company that publishes The Sun in England for libel, demanding a minimum of $200,000 plus legal fees. Depp's attorneys argued the article defamed him by presuming the actor was guilty of domestic violence against his former wife, highlighting the use of the term wife-beater. Now, Depp's counsel maintained that these, quote, "reputation-destroying and career-ending allegations were untrue and caused the actor, quote, serious harm," the threshold standard for defamation in England. In its defense, The Sun's parent company argued that there was sufficient evidence to show that Depp was, quote, "violent towards Miss Heard on multiple occasions during their relationship, making the term wife-beater an accurate statement." And in support of its claims, the company relied on 14 alleged incidents of physical abuse against Heard that purportedly occurred between 2013 and 2016. Though neither Depp nor Heard were on trial, the case was essentially a dress rehearsal for the pair's Virginia defamation trial, with both Depp and Heard giving live testimony detailing an array of graphic allegations. When Depp took the stand, he acknowledged wide-ranging drug problems, which he referred to as, quote, "the monster." But Depp accused Heard of making up allegations and insisting that he was, quote, "not a violent person, especially with a woman," a characterization that was backed up in sworn statements from former partners Winona Ryder and Vanessa Paradis. Depp portrayed Heard as the aggressor in the relationship, accusing her of repeatedly belittling him and frequently turning physically violent during their tumultuous marriage, saying, quote, "it was sort of a rapid-fire, sort of endless parade of insults. Quote, looking at me like I was a fool and I was having difficulty in my mind, of course, and in my heart dealing with that sort of barrage." Depp further alleged that Heard would sometimes strike out in anger or frustration. And regarding an alleged headbutting incident in December of 2015 at his LA penthouse, Depp testified he was trying to hold Heard back from hitting him and their foreheads collided by accident. Depp also detailed a purported March 2015 argument in Australia that led to part of his finger being sliced off due to a thrown vodka bottle. Depp contended that Heard saw him drinking for the first time in a while, and she threw a bottle of vodka that narrowly missed his head before throwing a larger bottle that did strike his head. Photos provided by Depp's counsel purported to show Depp with a bloody finger and a cigarette burn on his face. For her part, Heard denied injuring Depp, contending that her ex severed his own finger during a drug and alcohol binge after repeatedly smashing a wall-mounted phone against the wall. Heard testified that Depp, fueled by drugs and alcohol, hit, slapped, and shoved Heard, pulling her hair and threw bottles, quote, "like grenades" at Heard at various incidents between 2013 and 2016. On cross-examination, Heard denied the characterization of Depp's lawyers that she was the one who struggled with drugs and alcohol, that she was the one who abused him, and that she was the one who was controllingly manipulative, not Depp. Now, under cross-examination, Depp admitted it was possible that he destroyed the phone, stating, quote, "I remember ripping the phone off the wall." Depp also admitted that he had previously taken responsibility for severing his finger, though Depp claimed that he was only trying to protect Heard when he had to tell the production company the injury prevented him from working on set. And Depp also confirmed that he wrote messages for Heard in blood, paint, and lipstick, including, quote, "I love you," and, quote, "good luck," which he did to indicate he felt the relationship was over. And in a trial that had the couple airing out their dirty laundry, Depp also detailed an alleged incident involving literal dirty laundry. Supposedly on the night of Heard's birthday party in April of 2016, Depp says he arrived late due to a meeting he was attending. Depp testified that Heard was furious with him, hitting him multiple times after the party ended before he left and spent the night at another home. Depp said that he planned to retrieve items the next morning after Heard left for Coachella, but was told by someone at the home who texted him a photo not to return because there was poop in the bed. Quote, it was a photograph of the bed, our bed, and on my side of the bed was human fecal matter, so I understood why it wasn't a good time to go down there. He continued, my initial response to that was, I laughed. It was so outside, it was so bizarre, and so grotesque that I could only laugh. Depp had previously claimed in a written statement that Heard or one of her friends were the culprit and alleged that Heard had called this, quote, just a harmless prank. But Depp said that incident was when he knew their marriage was over, and a month later, Heard filed for divorce. Heard has denied any role in this whodunit, suggesting the story is fabricated simply to humiliate her. So yeah, the British trial was incredibly colorful. And after hearing all of the evidence, the UK court sided with the Sun and rejected Depp's libel claims. In his November 2020 opinion, Justice Andrew Niccol concluded that the Sun had met its burden of proof and that the Sun's allegations that Depp engaged in unprovoked attacks and violent conduct against his then wife that caused her to be in fear for her life were true, quote, on the balance of the probabilities, meaning the abuse allegations were more likely than not to be true. The justice did not accept Depp's characterization of Heard as a gold digger who had, quote, constructed a hoax and as an insurance policy in the event the marriage fell apart. Among the incidents the judge found to be substantially true were the two events alluded to in Heard's 2016 application for domestic violence restraining order, the May 2016 assault with Depp's phone, and the severe December 2015 incident where Depp allegedly threw a decanter at Heard in the penthouse, headbutted her, and pulled large chunks of hair from her scalp before an appearance on James Corden's Late Late Show. And the justice did not find Depp's claim that Heard was responsible for severing his fingertip to be credible. And as for the poop in the bed incident, well, the judge blamed the dog. Quote, for what it's worth, I consider it unlikely that Miss Heard or one of her friends was responsible, reasoning in part that Depp was out of the house at the time of the incident and Heard was the one likely to suffer from the effects. The judge concluded, quote, it was therefore a singularly ineffective means for Miss Heard or one of her friends to get back at Mr. Depp. Your mileage may vary on that reasoning. In response to the ruling, Depp's representative stated they found the decision, quote, as perverse as it is bewildering, and immediately announced their intention to appeal. But in March of 2021, Depp's appeal was rejected, and the Court of Appeals ruled that the lower court case was, quote, full and fair, and the trial judge's conclusions, quote, have not been shown to even arguably be vitiated by any error or approach of mistake of law, and concluded the appeal has no real prospect of success, and that there is no other compelling reason for it to be heard. On appeal, Depp's counsel had argued they did not get a fair hearing and that Heard was an unreliable witness. And as evidence of her unreliability, Depp's counsel asserted that Heard has not kept her promise to donate her $7 million divorce settlement to charity. And the fallout from Depp's spectacular defeat was immediate. Following the November ruling, Depp announced he was leaving the Fantastic Beasts franchise after Warner Brothers requested his resignation. And that takes us to the good old US of A, because what makes Depp's defeat so notable is that the odds of prevailing on a libel claim are much higher in England than in the US. In England, the party accused of defamation has the burden of proving that their claim is, quote, substantially true. Now, that's the opposite in the US, where the defamed person has the burden of proving that the libelous statements are false. Another reason US defamation cases are hard to win is that public figures like Depp must prove the defamatory statements were made with actual malice, meaning that they were published with knowledge of being false or reckless disregard for their truth or falsity. Again, actual malice has nothing to do with not liking a person. It is an evidentiary standard, and it's not particularly well named. It's a legal term of art. And even with these built-in advantages, Depp still lost twice in the UK. In the face of Depp's double defeat, some have characterized Depp's legal strategy as a complete flop. And remember, not only have two British courts found Heard's abuse allegations to be substantially true, but Depp's efforts have had the unintended Streisand effect of amplifying these allegations. After all, if not for Depp's multiple lawsuits, there would be no reason for this channel to make a video on this controversy to the millions of LegalEagle subscribers. It's a case of life imitating art, I guess. But Depp's defenders insist that the British trial was not fairly decided, that new evidence has since come forward that paints a different picture, particularly with new audio that purports to show Heard admitting to abusing Depp. So after all of this, we find ourselves back on American soil as Depp attempts another bite at the defamation apple, hoping this time he will be vindicated. And particularly at issue in the American trial is an op-ed that Amber Heard published on December 18, 2018, 6 months after Depp filed the UK libel action, where she published in the Washington Post an article entitled, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." Heard wrote, quote, "Like many women, I had been harassed and sexually assaulted by the time I was of college age, but I kept quiet. I did not expect filing complaints to bring justice, and I didn't see myself as a victim. Then, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out." And in March 2019, Depp responded to the op-ed by filing a $50 million defamation lawsuit against his ex-wife, contending Heard's article contained, quote, "categorically and demonstrably false claims of domestic abuse." Quote, "The op-ed depended on the central premise that Miss Heard was a domestic abuse victim and that Mr. Depp perpetrated domestic violence against her." Depp's lawyers also wrote in the complaint, quote, "Her allegations are part of an elaborate hoax to generate positive publicity for Miss Heard and advance her career." The complaint, which again are just allegations from one side, charged that Heard had incalculably damaged the actor's reputation and derailed his career, highlighting that Disney fired Depp from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise 4 days after the publication of Heard's article. And though the article does not mention Depp by name, a party alleging defamation need not be specifically named so long as there are enough identifying facts the person reading it would reasonably understand that the statements refer to the plaintiff. And in August of 2020, Heard countersued for $100 million, arguing that Depp's denial of the abuse effectively accused Heard of committing perjury to obtain the 2016 domestic violence restraining order, which defamed her character. Heard also accused Depp of orchestrating an online smear campaign against Heard in violation of Virginia's laws against online harassment. Now, some of you might be wondering why this case is going to trial at all, given that it appears to have already been litigated in another forum in the UK. And there is a principle of law that prevents relitigation of the same cause of action in a second lawsuit between the same parties. It's called claim preclusion, also referred to as res judicata, which is Latin for a matter decided. Basically, it's like double jeopardy, but for civil suits. And there's also issue preclusion, or collateral estoppel, preventing a party from relitigating an issue once a court has already ruled on it. Now, Heard's lawyers tried to get the US lawsuit thrown out because of some of the claims that were already decided in the UK, but the judge denied the motion. Like most things in law, there were arguments on both sides of these issues. And in particular, Amber Heard was not a defendant in the UK case. She was only a witness. Depp was a party though, and he appealed his case to the highest court in the UK and lost. But because Heard wasn't a party in the UK case, remember Depp sued The Sun and the Sun's parent company, and a few other reasons, Amber Heard was not able to benefit from claim preclusion and res judicata to prevent Depp from being able to sue in Virginia. And then also, American courts reject foreign judgments that don't live up to American standards of free speech. And there's a law, the Securing the Protection of Our Enduring and Established Constitutional Heritage Act, prevents US courts from enforcing foreign defamation judgments that don't comport with First Amendment protections. So even if Depp had won his case and then asked American courts to recognize the judgment, the court probably would have rejected his lawsuit. Of course, now Depp has a second bite at the apple, and if he wins, it would be really unusual given his loss in a country with a lower standard for proving defamation. But either way, it's entirely possible that Johnny Depp's career is over, and the jury is out whether that's Amber Heard's fault or not. But the point may not be about winning a legal victory, but about winning a PR victory and rehabilitating Depp's image. And it seems like he's made some progress in that respect. Though the Virginia trial has already turned into a complete circus, I'll have to do another video summarizing all the craziness that has already occurred, including Heard's lawyer objecting to himself and Johnny Depp becoming an expert on hearsay. But if Johnny Depp wins either legally or in the court of public opinion, he should celebrate by making himself a nice meal, which he can do with today's sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a great way to eat delicious fresh food while still being healthy. In fact, HelloFresh has a variety variety of calorie-smart and carb-smart recipes, as well as pescatarian and veggie options, as well as a new Mediterranean line. You can customize it how you'd like. You can swap out proteins or get premium top-of-the-line versions. Now, I'm a do-it-yourself person, and I have to say I was initially pretty skeptical about HelloFresh. I'm a pretty good cook, so I didn't really think I needed the help, but I actually love it. And even for an experienced cook, HelloFresh delivers new ingredients and recipes that I'd never try on my own. HelloFresh generally keeps everyone's favorite meals and then rotates new ones in all the time. Most recently, I've enjoyed seasonal spring recipes like sweet heat shrimp tempura bowls. Try saying that one 3 times fast. Garden spinach ricotta ravioli, also a tongue twister, and one pot creamy lemon dill chicken soup. Now, I don't know about you, but I would never have attempted those on my own, especially just because it's hard to say. But honestly, they are really delicious no matter how hard it is to actually say the titles. And in fact, I usually increase the size of my HelloFresh servings so that I can enjoy the leftovers for lunches and snacks later on. And it's not just meals. HelloFresh's marketplace features a variety of add-ons for breakfast, desserts, and seasonal snacks. Again, huge time savings as well. And of course, everything was delivered straight to my door, so I didn't have to do any shopping. The produce actually gets to you faster than a grocery store, so it arrives at peak freshness and flavor. And all of this saves you time because HelloFresh cuts out meal planning and prep, so the recipes only take 20 to 30 minutes to cook, literally less time to cook than it would normally take to do the shopping for the meal. And it's also really sustainable. Since the ingredients are pre-portioned, there's less prep and less food waste. The packaging is almost entirely made from recyclable or already recycled content. And HelloFresh's carbon footprint is actually 25% lower than that of meals made from store-bought groceries. And it's 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant. So if you'd like to try HelloFresh, and you really should, you can go to HelloFresh.com and use the code LegalEagle16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Yes, you can actually get 16 free meals, and that includes free shipping. All you have to do is click on the link that's on screen right now. So again, for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts, click on the link that's on screen right now and use the promo code LegalEagle16 when you check out. Plus, clicking on the link really helps out this channel. And while you're at it, click on this playlist with all of my other videos. So click on this link, or I'll see you in court.